welcome back everybody. You're watching the very first shed hunt of 2024. And it is early. It's the first week of February. And most of the deer still have their antlers. But the one deer in particular that I really want, I think, lost both of his. I got some pictures of a big bodied deer with big thick faces without antlers. It's a deer I call Rover. It's one that I found both sides to in the corn last year on ours. And this year he was really weird. He totally changed his tendencies. He moved, you know, way deeper onto the neighbors and even across his property, I think. I never had a picture of him on ours during hunting season, but I know he lived. And he's a really nice 4.5-year-old deer this year. Next year he's going to be 5.5. And I'm hoping with any luck, he moves back to what he did when he was 3.5 and spends a lot more time on ours and would give, you know, maybe us an opportunity at him. Because we never even had a shot at him this year. He never was on our property. So this year, I'm hoping he goes back to his 3-year-old tendencies and sticks around on ours. But he's a beautiful, beautiful deer. We're going to see if we can't stumble across him. We're going to walk quite a few miles this morning. You couldn't ask for better shed hunting conditions. It's overcast, ground's wet. You know, a good size antler should really show up from quite a ways away. Fingers crossed we can locate one or both of them. Well, we just found our very first shed of 2024. And it was really a super lucky find because I about stepped on it. Just a little guy here. Tiny little bugger. He's laying right here, just like that. That's number one. The good news is if we can see that sucker, Rover's horn will be no problem. I get a lot of questions on kind of how I shed hunt. It starts with tons of scouting. You know, when everybody else is taking their cameras out of the woods after hunting season, I'm stacking them up even deeper, especially around the food sources. And I want to really get to understanding how whatever deer I'm looking for, I want to know where he's bedding and how he's getting to that food. And just learn that deer. It's a good time of year. They're really on a strict bedding to feeding pattern if they don't get bumped or messed with. And once you learn that, you'll have a dang good chance of finding those sheds. And you know, in the area where I think Rover sheds are over here, what I'm going to do is just grid search it. I'm going to go back and forth. I'm going to take about 20 yards of pop and go back and forth all the way through and just keep going until I hit the swamp. And then once you hit the swamp, you kind of just have to take whatever, you know, it gives you. You know, it's not open woods. It's just really particular, and you really got to cover all the ground. And if you get through, if I grid search this whole section of woods and I don't find them, well, then I'm going to look at that grid on Onyx. I'm going to see, well, there's a hole right here and a hole right here and a hole right there. I'm going to take and go right back where, you know, those holes in my search and go through those. So it's tedious and you have to walk a lot of miles, but it's worth it to pick up some big horns. So let's keep after it here. Let's get this one. Number one. This is actually number 3. I found a match set the last day of muzzleloader season down in Cherry Ridge to a buck that had been hitting the road, unfortunately, and he dumped both antlers in his bed where he was bedded down. And in fact, that deer's still alive. I mean, he's limping around and stuff, but it's been pretty amazing that he's been able to get power through this injury. Not to say he's gonna make it much longer, but you never know. Maybe he will. Deer are strong critters, that's for sure. See what else we can find. Well, no luck since that little spike antler. We walked about 3 miles so far, and Just wanted to give everybody a public service announcement. Every time you guys launch a balloon full of helium, believe it or not, they don't just disappear. They come back down. Happy birthday. You wouldn't believe how many of these stupid things that I come across every spring shed hunting. Seems like every balloon that gets launched in the United States ends up right here in the Tamarack Swamp. So I'll just fold it up and put it in my pocket and throw it out when I get home. Right on this high knob in the swamp that a lot of sunlight is getting into. And just look at all the bedding in here. These deer come in here, especially in the winter, to soak up the sun in the midday. It's all real thick all around them in here. It's perfect cover. This is an area that I wouldn't doubt that I could find a shed in here. Well, we're still looking right here in that high point in the swamp, and just came across an old shed. And I know this deer from from this year even. He's this year he's a 3.5-year-old 9-point. Pretty heavy horn buck as a 3-year-old. And this is him as a 2-year-old. I'll show you some pictures of him right now on the video of him this year. But this buck spent a lot of time right in Cherry Ridge this year in the corn. This is him last year as a 2-year-old. Definitely him. No mistaking it. Maybe he dumped his other one right here close somewhere. We'll look around. He actually hasn't shed yet this year. He's still got both of his horns as of last night. So this is that heavy 9 I called him this year. He's a 3.5-year-old buck, and that's the shed I just found to him from last year. You can that's cool because you can kind of see the same angle on that left antler there. Definitely the same deer. Pretty darn cool. I didn't really shed hunt right here last year because I had already found all the sheds I really wanted. I definitely would have found this one last year had I walked through here. But we got it this year. And that deer will be 4.5 next year, and definitely one that we'll be looking to put a hole in given the opportunity. Just found this jawbone, and I'm sure a lot of you guys that are watching this already know, but it's fun to try to kind of age them off the jaw. First thing you want to do is count how many molars they have. So this one's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which immediately means that deer is more than just a fawn. So it's older than 6 months old. The next thing you want to do is go to this third molar right here and see if it's got 2 or 3 cusps. And with this one, you can see it's got 2 cusps. So you know at that point, it's more than a 1.5 year old deer. So this is 100% a 2.5 or older deer. And at that point, you go back here and you can see how that molar's hardly worn at all. I would say this is likely a 2.5 year old deer, I would bet. So it's its first year that it has 2 cuffs instead of 3 cuffs on that molar. And you can kind of tell because you can see that the growth right there is kind of odd, like that molar just came in. So 2.5-year-old deer, I would bet. Well, I'm just under 8 miles into this shed hunt here, and I'm gonna go get some water and some lunch. I'll show you track on Onyx there. Right there, you see it says 7.81 miles. Been looking for a little over 3 hours now. No luck on the big set I'm looking for. I really thought that they would be right in this area that obviously I've been covering, but they're not stumbling across them yet. They're sheds that you should be able to see from a little ways away too. They're not little sheds. They're horns that should kind of stick out from, you know, 20, 25 feet away if you can, you know, if they're in plain sight and not bunched up to a log or something. But we ended up finding 2 sheds, including this guy, which was a cool find because this is a deer that, you know, is definitely going to be on our radar next year. But let's get some lunch and maybe we'll be back after it here in a little bit. Well, I just talked to you guys sitting on the log over there and said I was heading back to, I was going to head out and go get some lunch and some water, fill back up. And you know how I said, I think, you know, this horn would be a horn I'd be able to see from 20, 25 feet away. And I walked about 40 yards from that log, and Rover's right side is sitting right over here about 20 feet away from me. I don't know if you guys can see it. Right there. There he is. Man, look at that G3. Wow, he's really carries his mass through really well. Last year, his brow did the same thing on the tip. It's pretty cool. I'll be able to compare the two. So this is his right side, so his left side still, there's still blood on that pedicle there. See the wax ring? So that was the biggest deer to find. I obviously still gotta find the other side, but he's the biggest buck that made it on all the property that I know of around us. He's a 4.5-year-old. He's gonna be 5.5, obviously, during the 2024 hunting season. You know, I gotta start making some type of game plan to try to get that deer our way a little bit somehow. The gears are spinning in my head as we stand here looking at that shed. I'm gonna get a few pictures of it for Instagram, and if you guys don't follow me on Instagram, it's KEO__vlogs. I'll put a thing in there that you can take a picture of to get there. But man, that is sweet. Let me get some pictures of it as it lies. So what's our track? So we were 8.17 miles into the track when we finally found that bugger. He was actually, so this horn is kind of on the outskirts of where I was thinking this, you know, his main core area was. He's actually closer to where I want him to be. He's further our way. So that's good. Oh man, look at that sucker. Man, what a bunch of mass on that base. He definitely put on some inches from 3.5 to 4.5, that's for sure. Well, let's go get some, we'll go get some food. And now we really gotta find that other side. Good morning, everybody. It is now Sunday morning, and I have really been looking hard for the other side of Rover, and I'm not having any luck with it. But we're gonna keep after it. I'm just keeping track of my track on Onyx, and you know, wherever there's holes in that track, I go through and look. So no luck yet. It's a real cold, frosty morning. Kind of tough when it's just sunny out because everything just kind of shines. So we're gonna keep after it. Well, no shed, but we got another balloon. This one's got some writing on it. It says, "Rest in heaven, Ma, we miss you. Happy birthday from me and the boys." And then on the other side, it says, "Happy heavenly B-Day, Mommy. Happy B-Day, Mommy. We love you. Lisa, Jose, Bella, Layla, and Joel." And then, "Happy birthday, my love. Rest in heaven. Love ya." Something. They sent this balloon off to heaven, and go figure, it landed right in the Tamarack Swamp on Nazareth Road. I guess if that really would be heaven for me if I was gone. I think this is right where I'd want that balloon to land if it was out for me. Back onto the shed hunt. Well, no luck this morning. Just got back. My legs are absolutely toasted. I haven't been walking too much over the winter, and went from 0 to 100 in the last 3 days here, so they are toast. But we're having a heck of a time finding the match to Rover. I've really looked really hard all around there. In fact, I just added up all my tracks, and we've gone 19.1 miles. So you can see on my Onyx, that's not even all of it. But so at this point, what I'll do is I'm just gonna hit all these holes. You know, everywhere, you know, that there's holes, that's a real swampy area. I'm gonna start hitting those areas. And well, as I was saying, my GoPro died on me, but so I walked a total of 19.1 miles so far, and I've got one side of Rover and those two. This is a deer that I call the Heavy 9 this year. This was his last year's shed as a 2-year-old, and then this little guy. So it was an awful lot of walking for just that, but most of the bucks really haven't even shed yet. The majority of them haven't. The only reason I'm really getting after this is because I know this deer shed both of his sides already, and I really like to find them. So it doesn't hurt going in there and trying to pick that other one up. But we'll be back at him again. Last night I saw Scar out in the field down there eating the rye. So he still got both of his antlers, and there's a few others that still have them. Glade still has his, I think. So we gotta wait and let these other ones drop, and we'll get after those. So thanks for watching, everybody. Oh, I was gonna show you the growth from 3.5 to 4.5 for Rover here. You can really see put on quite a few inches there. So this is when he was 3.5 and 4.5. Shows you what they do with age. They really explode.